Our top story this hour, the Syrian foreign minister says Damascus is ready to participate in a Geneva conference to help end the bloodshed in the country. Walid al-Muallem says Syria accepts no preconditions for attending the conference.
We will head to the conference with complete seriousness for the sake of reaching an end to the violence and terrorism which we consider a popular demand and which represents our priority for the Syrians.
Speaking at a press conference, Muallem also said his country is ready to create a conclusive transitional government. Syria's top diplomat accused Washington of spreading lies about the use of chemical weapons by the Syrian military. Muallem said most of the Europeans are against arming insurgents because they know that sometime in the future the same militants will return to Europe. The foreign minister said only the Syrian army will be able to drive out foreign militants who are fighting in the country. He also said conspirators against Syria do not want to end the Syrian conflict as it's in the interest of Israel. Russia warns the US and its European and regional allies against supplying more weapons to insurgents fighting Syrian government troops. In a statement, the Russian Foreign Ministry has expressed serious concern about the consequences of sending further arms to militant groups in Syria. It says the move will hamper efforts to find a swift political solution to the crisis that's gripped the Arab country for more than 2 years. The statement was issued after the weekend meeting of the so-called Friends of Syria in Doha, Qatar. The participants agreed to provide urgent military support to insurgents in Syria. Meanwhile, Lebanon's army has vowed to finish with the Takfiri gunmen led by radical Salafist cleric Sheikh Ahmed al-Assad. The Lebanese army has closed in on Salafist gunmen in the southern city of Sidon during ongoing clashes linked to the conflict in neighbouring Syria. The clashes broke out on Sunday after troops arrested a follower of Assad. The army says supporters of the cleric then opened fire without provocation on an army checkpoint. At least 17 soldiers and some 35 Salafist gunmen died in the fighting that followed. Over 100 others have also been wounded in 2 days of conflict. The Salafist cleric is a staunch supporter of insurgents fighting the Syrian government. Altaf Talal Ahmad is our correspondent with us now on the line from Sidon with the latest. So Altaf, if you can hear me, tell us what's happening there right now.
Well, the situation seems to have calmed down compared to what we saw in the early hours in the morning and the late hours of last night. It seems as though the Lebanese army has regained full control of the stronghold of the Salafist militants led by Salafist cleric Ahmed al-Assad in the eastern suburb of Abra in the southern city of Sidon in Lebanon. After the army regained full control, it seems as though a calm has been relatively restored, but there have been a large number of families leaving their homes to neighboring regions around the city. You can find a lot of people packing their bags and they have everything in their cars. Families are leaving their homes just in case any developments occur. Now, as we know that Foreign Minister, Syrian Foreign Minister Walid al-Muallem has linked the Sidon clashes to so-called secret decisions taken in Doha lately, which called for the ramping up of assistance and aid for the so-called rebels in Syria. He described the terrorism happening in Sidon. He also linked it to Doha. Now, the Lebanese army has also reportedly scored quite a number of casualties of militants who are also, according to local media, from different nationalities, not just the Lebanese. A lot of Syrians and a lot of Libyans and Yemenis have been reported to have taken part in the fight against the Lebanese army. The Lebanese presidency and the security meeting, which was held today in the presidential palace in Baghdad, had called on the people to had urged solidarity with the Lebanese army at this moment, especially as it is being targeted viciously by Salafist militants.
Altaf Talal Ahmad, a correspondent with me there on the line from Sidon. Thank you very much, Altaf. Moving on with the news now, Qatar is expecting a transition that will see the country's ruler hand over power to his son, Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad. The change has raised uncertainties about possible changes in the Arab states' foreign policy. The power transition takes on rather added significance, considering that Qatar is already knee-deep in Syria's unrest and troubled by quarrels in the ruling family. We have this report.
Qatari Emir Sheikh Hamad bin Khalifa Al Thani is looking to hand over the country to his son, Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad. The 33-year-old Sheikh Tamim is the ruler's fourth son. He was trained at Britain's Royal Military Academy, Sandhurst, and is currently the Joint Commander of Qatar's armed forces. Power transition in Qatar has never involved the participation of people. The tiny oil-rich Persian Gulf state has been ruled as an absolute and hereditary emirate by the Al Thani family since the mid-19th century. The 61-year-old Sheikh Hamad came to power in a coup in 1995, taking advantage of his father's absence on a trip to Europe. Considering Qatar's undemocratic system of power transition, it's quite ironic that Doha continues to intervene in the internal affairs of regional states such as Syria. Qatar is under criticism for showering money and arms on anti-Damascus militants fighting the government.
Some people probably will say they're not happy with the political process that is going on in Qatar, especially its involvement and extended involvement in what is taking place in the Middle East, especially in what is taking place in Syria and what happened in Libya, and the way they've been financing all the wars and its connection with what they call the extremist element or the jihadist element.
Based on some Western media reports, Qatar and Saudi Arabia are even paying salaries to insurgents fighting against the government of Syrian President Bashar al-Assad. According to these reports, the payments have been going on for months, following an agreement made by Doha and Riyadh on April 2nd. During the so-called Friends of Syria meeting in Doha, Qatari Prime Minister Sheikh Hamad bin Jassim Al Thani said that arming the insurgents is the only way to establish peace and democracy in Syria. He said that moral support for the militants was not sufficient and that a balance must be achieved on the ground so that Damascus can accept negotiations. The soon-to-emerge Emir Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani will have to face tensions within the ruling family and other powerful clans over his father's alignment with U.S. policies. Analysts, however, believe that power transition in Qatar will not change the Arab states' foreign policy approach toward regional and international issues.
There's no indication that the transfer of power as it's intended to Sheikh Tamim bin Khalid al-Thani will alter those policies. It would indeed, I think, consolidate its subordination to the United States and its coordination with this agenda.